evening to everyone present here. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to the 20th International Webinar on the Teaching of English. This webinar is being organized by LTI Pune chapter and powered by MIT ADT University, Pune. Today's webinar will be novel, as it is an interview with textbook and workbook writers who will enlighten us on ELT material development. Let me extend my warm welcome to our guest speakers of the day. Manisha Dhone Madam, Sridhar Nagargoje Sir, Tusharika Limay Madam, Uday Singh Bhosle Sir, and Ujjwal Karvande Sir. Our source of inspiration, the President of LTI Pune chapter, Dr. Zedin Patil Sir, all our office bearers, chapter members, and participants. Let me share some brief glimpses of LTI Pune chapter. LTI Pune chapter was inaugurated at the 9th National Conference of LTIS Symbiosis in February 2019. The English Language Teachers Association of India is not only bringing teachers of English in India together through national and international level conferences, seminars, workshops, and many academic activities for the past 49 years, but it is also the largest association of teachers of English in the country, with nearly 4,000 members who are involved in teaching English from KG to PG. LTI is an associate of International Association of Teachers of English as Foreign Language, UK, and TESOL, Teachers of English to Speakers of Other Languages. LTI has also been very active in publication through online and printed journals and encourages budding researchers. We look forward to receiving your contribution, active and wholehearted participation in the Pune chapter of LTI. Hereby, I would like to encourage all of you to come together, share, learn mutually, and receive remarkable benefits of LTI membership, which is a great platform to enhance one's personal and professional skills. May I now request Rahul Sir to introduce MIT ADT University and play the video. Thank you, sir. Let me introduce our guest speakers for the day. Our first speaker, Manisha Dhone Madam, has completed her MA in English, MEd, and is set qualified. Presently, she is working as postgraduate teacher at Sinhagad Springdale School, Ambegaon. Manisha Madam was a member of Curriculum Framework Committee responsible for the framing of syllabus of class 1 to 8. In addition to that, she has also contributed in the creation of workbooks for classes 8, 9, and 10 of Marathi and English medium schools. Our second speaker, Sridhar Naggargoje sir, is a teacher trainer and teacher of English language. He has worked as member of English Language Committee to develop textbooks for standard 1st to 12th. He has contributed in compiling and composing activities for accelerated learning program. Sridhar sir is also an invitee member to create English activity books for English and non-English medium. He is an editing committee member of integrated and bilingual textbooks based on NEP 2020. He has contributed to develop training modules for teachers. He was a former member of State Curriculum Development for English Language in 2012 and 13. Our third guest speaker, Tusharika Limay Madam, has completed her MA, MEd, and DSM. She has retired as a principal of a DED college and is currently working as a freelancer and teacher trainer. She has contributed in content development of Balbharti English textbooks for classes 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and DED course, teachers' handbooks for classes 9th and 10th, and English textbook for DED course. Our fourth guest speaker, Uday Singh Bhosle sir, is actively involved in curriculum and syllabus development for standard 1st to 8. He has worked with the State Council of Educational Research and Training for 2 years as an honorary consultant and played an important role in developing the curriculum and syllabus for primary education. With the officers of SCERT, Uday Singh sir was also a team member of a team which visited NCERT Delhi and studied the National Curriculum Framework, where he guided the experts from each subject for developing the state syllabus in accordance with the National Curriculum Framework. He was on the panel of resource persons of NCERT Delhi, which organized a workshop of analysis of state government syllabus for 9th and 10th standard at Regional Institute of Education, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. Uday Singh Bhosle sir also led a team of subject experts recommended by the Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, Mumbai. Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, Maharashtra State undertook a project to develop teachers' handbooks of standard 9th and 10th for each subject, for which he was appointed as chief coordinator for the project. All the responsibilities, starting from selection of experts, guiding them about the matter of the subject, arranging their workshops according to their availability, coordinating with the education department officials, etc. This project was in action for nearly 1.5 years. After completing the script of each textbook, he contacted Balbharti and got printed all the required copies of handbooks. Later on, he even arranged workshops of all headmasters of all government and municipal schools and guided them about the use of the handbooks. Our last speaker of the day, Ujjwal Karwande sir, has extensively contributed in material development. He has developed English language study material for age-appropriate admitted children, English language kit development for MPSP and SIEM, content enrichment material and learning enhancement material for MPSP, learning enhancement program workbook under STARS Standard 9, chess, continuous help to teachers of English from secondary schools, English Teachers Forum material, and finally, bridge course material development. We are elated to have all our guest speakers with us today.
Thank you,
I would like to welcome, sir. Now I would like to hand over the session to Nisha, madam. Over to you, ma'am.
Nisha, ma'am, please unmute yourself first.
Thank you, Neha, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am.
A very good evening to all the guests LTI Pune chapter members, office bearers, and everyone. So welcome on this virtual interview session on ELT material development. Before we begin our interview or come discussion, I wish to request all the guest speakers just to be a little brief and precise so that we could complete all the questions, because we really have many questions for you. And each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to answer the question. So now, without wasting much of the time, I think I'll begin with the questions. My first question is here. What are the objectives of teaching English at primary and secondary levels? Hello? I'll just repeat my question. What are the objectives of teaching English at primary and secondary levels?
Thank you, ma'am. The objective of teaching English at primary and secondary level, there are list of objectives. It is not fair to read out all objectives here, but I will put some points before the great people. That primary level or secondary level, our prime and primary objective is that to enable the learners to become a confident speakers in English, effective communicators in English, the best users of English language. Also, it starts from oracy to literacy. At the primary stages, our focus is on the oral skill, listening and speaking, and upper primary and secondary level, though their focus is on oral skills, listening and speaking, at the same time our focus is on academic skills, that is reading and writing. Also, our focus is a functional grammar and vocabulary enrichment. So English is not only a one language or subject. I would not say it is subject, it is a language, but it is a medium of instruction. And English is a pathway, English is a gateway to understand everything in a future education. That's why they should use English as a tool of learning something, explore the all knowledge through the English language. So these are the broader objectives of English language to teach primary and secondary level. Also, our focus at primary level to build the confidence about the students to speak in English, to use English confidently, and then they learn the English in a different way, in a creative way, not in a mechanical way. If they learn English as only drilling and mechanical way, so definitely they will become a bore, and we kill the interest of learning language. So instead of teaching them or learning a very mechanically or drilled way, they should learn very creatively and free mind. If anybody wants to add, you can.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
May I add?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you. English at the primary, that's elementary level, and at the secondary and higher secondary level is taught as a language, not as a subject. And as such, the primary objective is to develop the language skills of the learners. I would say that when the students begin their study, primarily is the oracy, as Sridhar has said. So it's the development of oral language, and then we proceed to the literacy skills and writing skills. So for the beginners, it's the preparatory development of the preparatory skills, listening, speaking, as well as preparatory reading and writing skills. And when the students progress ahead, so at the latter grades, we see that even in the upper primary schools, we see there is primary focus on the development of language skills and not on the literary skills. Literary test is something which is focused at the secondary and higher secondary level, where we expect children, the students rather, to develop a literary test and appreciate the literary test. So that's all that I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Nisha.
Can I move to? Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Next question is, can you tell us about the criteria that you followed while creating these materials I'll just repeat my question. Can you tell us about the criteria that you followed while creating materials?
May I answer this question?
Yes, sir. Please.
Thank you very much. There are various criteria we follow while selecting or while creating the materials. The very first is it should be age appropriate. For various grades, it should be graded material, and at the same time, it should be culturally appropriate. So it should depict the Indian culture so that it is very friendly to the learners. It shouldn't be something alien to the learners.
Absolutely.
So whatever material is there, it has to be from our culture itself. It has to be contextualized, so that the child feels that it immediately relates to my environment. Then we also need to take care of the selection of vocabulary, the diction while creating the material. Then the selection of structure, because even the structures which are taught, they are also graded. So students learn the easy structures first and then thrive on these structures and learn the latter complex structures. So this is how, while developing the material also, we need to take care of the complexity of the structures. And at the same time, we also need to take care that the material nurtures the constitutional values and the personal values. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Anybody else is contributing?
I myself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. Actually, I was involved in creating handbooks for the standard 8, 9, and 10. So that is the material which I have been actually involved in preparing all these things.
Bhosle sir.
One thing is that.
Bhosle sir. Excuse me.
Yes.
Bhosle sir. Your voice is very low. So can you adjust your mic? Or please, little louder.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear? Hello.
Bhosle sir, continue.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can hear you, sir. Continue.
Yeah. So, actually, I was involved in developing the teacher's handbook at the 9th and 10th standard for all subjects. I am not exactly English teacher or an expert in English, but generally, I was coordinating all the subjects experts to develop these textbooks and these handbooks and for the teachers. So when actually I have given some guidelines to the experts, those who are actually working on the teacher's handbook. One thing is that we have to take into account actually the guidelines given by the National Curriculum Framework. And then we have to take into consideration some key core elements which has been already given by the government or central government maybe at that time. So all these things, that means life skills, development of professional skills, constructivism, value education, communication skills, environmental awareness, all these things should be introduced while we are doing preparing the material. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is, were there criteria fixed by practicing teachers or experts or by bureaucrats? In other words, was it a top-down process or bottom-up process? I'll just repeat my next question. Were there criteria fixed by practicing teachers or experts or by bureaucrats? In other words,
okay, can I answer this question?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Yes, Tusharika, go ahead, please.
Yes.
Yes. So I would say that up to a certain limit, it is a top-down process, because the core components are decided by the national curriculum framework. The life skills which are to be included, they also come from the top. But when they come down to the teachers, or actually those who prepare the content or the material, there they can take their own decisions. For example, what content is going to be selected, then they can select the content according to the criteria, like it should be age appropriate or within the scope of experience of the learners. Sometimes we also have to consider what method is going to be used, or what teaching techniques are going to be used for delivering the content. Because if you see the textbooks for standard 1 or 2, the playway method is used. So many games are suggested. But if you look at the higher classes, then there is what we call PBL, or project-based learning. So a number of projects are given. So while developing the content, we also have to think of these things. So that is the role where it goes from bottom to top and not from top to bottom. So I would say that initially it is top to down, and then it reverts and goes upwards. So it takes place both ways.
Thank you. Very good.
Absolutely,
Thank you so
Tusarika
much.
ma'am. May I add some?
Nisha?
Sure,
Where
sir.
is Nisha?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. At the beginning, when we have a draft or when we have a syllabus or curriculum, that time it is a top-down process. But actually, when we design a material for the students, that time we take some activities, innovative activities, best practices from the teachers also. Because we invite some people and we ask their suggestions, and if they give some good suggestions and innovations, we add innovations in our textbook. I would like to give an example. In the old series, in the 6th standards, we had one lesson. A village goes to school, and this is the factual. It is a actual incident in Yavatmal districts. Ashok Raut was a teacher, and he has painted the whole village, and he has written the names of all parts on the places. So the students as well as the people from the village, they know English words in that village. So that was a success story of Ashok Raut sir, and we have included this story in 6th standard textbook. That is a bottom-up process.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry.
Thank you.
May I give some addition?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. Actually, what is happening, how the textbooks are being made, that is very important process. First, actually, that means national curriculum framework is being developed. After that, SCF state curriculum framework is developed. Then there will be, after that, there will be some guidelines from the state government. Experts teams were formed, and exactly for that subject, they will develop their curriculum and syllabus. Actually, what is there, what objectives are there for each subject in that curriculum, that framework. All these objectives should be introduced in that curriculum and syllabus of each subject. As far as English is concerned, our objective which has been there in the curriculum framework, they reflect in that curriculum and framework, curriculum and syllabus. And after finalizing the curriculum and syllabus of that subject, that curriculum and syllabus is actually the textbook writers. Actually, they write their lessons or units as per the curriculum and syllabus. So the objective or policy which has been already decided by the center or by the central government, it's implement or it reflects in the textbooks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead, Nisha.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Our next question is, what are some of the principles that underlie these materials? For example, age appropriateness. I I just repeat the question. What are some of the principles that underlie these materials like age appropriateness?
We haven't heard Manisha Dhone
Yes,
yet.
sir.
So could you please ask her to say something about this? Try to answer this question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Uh, sorry, I contributed in the creation of workbooks. So I am talking only about the principles that we have considered while creating workbooks. Okay, these workbooks are very much age appropriate. The activities, for example, the activities developed for class 9th are slightly difficult as compared to activities developed for class 8. The activities proceeded from simple to complex and easy to difficult. These are the maxims we considered while developing activities. These two maxims, simple to complex and easy to difficult. Within the same workbook, the activities proceed from easy to difficult or simple to complex, and between one class and other class, the activities proceed from simple to complex and easy to difficult. Again, there is one more variable, or we can say one more thing, that is medium. The activities developed for English medium learners are slightly more difficult than the activities developed for the Marathi medium learners. Certain activities are there in Marathi medium workbook. These activities are not there in English medium workbook. Sorry. For example, in Marathi medium workbook, there is translation skill activity, and this kind of activity is not there in English medium workbook. Instead, there is dialogue writing in English medium workbook. So this is what we have considered about age and stage of the learner while developing activities for the workbook.
Okay, fantastic. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha ma'am.
You
So
made
may
things,
I add some?
just a minute, please. You made things very clear, very easy, very simple for
Thank
all
you,
of us
sir.
to understand. And I'm sure our attendees are also in a position to understand what you said. You made things very, very clear. Now, Mr. Nagaruje.
Yes, sir.
Let me add to this. Let me add to what Manisha has already said. So she talked about age appropriateness principle. She talked about proceeding from easy to difficult, and also from simple to complex. But there are certain things which are not teachable. There are certain things which are not learnable at particular levels. So did you consider the principles of teachability and learnability while producing materials for different classes?
Absolutely, sir.
Can you just
absolutely right? Yes, sir.
Can you illustrate that, please?
Yes, because some activities are that ideally very good, but practically they are not implemented in the classroom.
Right.
So yes, that is a teachability, and that is another word is that we can say the functional way of handling this activity in the classroom. Yes, some activities are looking very good, but teachers and students are unable to conduct in the classroom.
Right. On paper, they look very fascinating.
Yes,
on paper,
yes, absolutely right.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
When it comes to acting upon those ideas or implementing those activities, administering those activities in the actual classroom, teachers find it very difficult. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Back to you, Nisha.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for those answers, ma'am and sir. Our next question is, do these textbooks contain activities based on constructivism? Can we have an example from any one of the textbooks? I just repeat my question. Do these textbooks contain activities based on constructivism? Can we have an example from any one of the textbooks, please?
May I?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yes, we have maximum activities based on the constructivism, because we have designed all the textbooks from standard 1st to standard 12 under the guidelines of NCF 2005. And that the quote is that each and every child is a constructor of his or her own knowledge. We cannot give the knowledge. Child can construct his or own knowledge. So we have one activity in the 9th standard textbook, and the name of activity is a quick thinkers. There are 4 stages are there. Within a 1 minute, student should write maximum meaningful phrases within a 1 minute. Then they have to look at those phrases and think of any situation or any that idea or any context. Then they have to give a title for that context or situation that is a totally raw, not a complete. And after that, they have to write use all the phrases in their writings, and they have to write their 1 paragraph. This is the writing activity. So if students are good in vocabulary, and if he or she has a good amount of the phrases, so he will write a best paragraph. If someone is not good at framing the phrases, he will write only words, or he will write very simple phrases, and he will design a simple, or he will frame or compose a simple paragraphs. So such activities are there. Some students who are ready to handle the easy activities, some are good at the medium level activity, where some students are very brilliant in a language because they have the vocabulary, they have that that we call competency of language, and they can use in writing or speaking. So we have many activities based on the constructivism.
So what you are trying to say, Mr. Nag, is that there are activities included in the textbook or in the workbooks which are personalized.
Yes, sir.
You have some slow learners, you have some fast learners, quick learners. You have people, you have learners coming from villages, learners coming from towns and cities, and therefore these learners come from various backgrounds, and they are not, many of them are not in a position to solve the tasks or participate in the activities in an equal measure. So you have considered that. That's a wonderful thing that you have considered while producing teaching materials or workbooks and so on and so forth. Dr. Karwande, would you like to very quickly add a point or two?
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. I would say, according to the constructivist principle, it's the spiral learning. So the student gathers some experiences, learning experiences, tries to give a meaning to his experiences and learns. So, so this is a kind of a continuous learning and spiral learning process. So whatever a child learns earlier, it may not be 100% correct, but later on the child thrives on that only, because he gets some additional inputs, additional experiences, and then he changes his beliefs. This is the principle of constructivism. And the material is also designed in such a way. I would just give one example and end. For example, in standard first, the letters of alphabet are introduced for the sounds. So this is the first experience the child gets. So the child identifies a letter of alphabet with its sound. And later on in standard third, the children are introduced the same letters of alphabet for their sounds. So earlier the child has the experience of the sounds, and then later on, thriving on that, the child learns the name of the different letters of alphabet. So this is how the spiral learning takes place.
Thank you very much. Tusharika?
Yes, I would also like to add something.
Nisha, I'm sorry, I'm just budging in or stepping into this.
Please.
So, Tusharika,
Yes, sir.
What is the kind of relationship, what sort of relationship exists between constructivist thinking and the thinking that there should be one single correct answer? So do they go hand in hand?
No, sir.
Or asking for one single correct answer and at the same time talking about constructivism. Do they go hand in hand? Can you
No, I don't think so.
Can you tell us in a minute?
Because in constructivism, they have the freedom to think. And that is why brainstorming is one part of or one feature of constructivism. In brainstorming, each individual can come up with something original, something genuine, something different. So there cannot be one fixed answer. You cannot ask closed-ended questions in constructivism. But I would like to give another example also. Working in groups and participating actively are important features of constructivism. And I found one activity in the 8th standard textbook. They are supposed to work in a group. The things that are present in the first aid box, all those objects are given to them. They can handle them, and they discuss the uses of these things. What is cotton used for, or what is some ointment used for, and then they write a paragraph describing the first aid box. So they are actively involved in it. They work in groups. So that is how construct, and then each one can suggest something, some different use. Something out of the way, for use of cotton, for example.
Okay.
Or use of a syringe. So that is
so what you are trying to say, Tusharika, is that all answers given by various or different students are legitimate and accurate and correct. And no answer is wrong. No answer is wrong. Because it's not mathematics, it's not science. In science, 2 + 2 make 4. But in language teaching, literature teaching, 2 + 2 don't make 4, right? They make 6, 10, they make 20. So all answers are legitimate, all answers are correct, no answer is wrong, right? Am I right?
Yes, sir. One very good example is, I can ask you, what will you compare your life to?
Right.
Each one will come up with so many different answers, and we can't say anybody is wrong.
Right. Thank you so much.
I just like to contribute here one point, sir.
Yeah.
It's like an experiential learning where the learning progresses through experiences. And that is what I think ma'am and you wanted to suggest, that when constructivist approaches there is a lot of experiential learning. So thank you very much for these answers. And thank you, sir, for contributing here.
Yeah, please go
I'll
ahead.
just move to my next question. Bloom's taxonomy arranges remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating skills in this ascending order. Can you very briefly discuss, with the help of the textbooks, one activity for each of the skills? I'll just repeat my question.
No need to
Bloom's
repeat.
taxonomy arranges.
There is no need to repeat. Every time there is no need to repeat, because they understand your question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Got it.
No. Let me say, we start with remembering. Remembering is followed by understanding. Understanding is followed by applying. Applying is followed by analyzing. Analyzing is followed by evaluating. And finally, we arrive at creating. The order is ascending order. Remembering is the lowest skill, and creating is the highest skill. So do you have activities in the textbook and in the workbook which satisfy all these levels of skills, from remembering to creating? Can you briefly illustrate these activities, please? Very briefly.
Yes, sir. Yes. We have such activities are in 9th and 10th standard, and 11 and 12. Manisha ma'am knows it very well.
Can you give us one activity focusing on remembering?
Yes, that is a summary writing, sir. In the summary writing, at first they have to read the paragraph, then filter the unimportant information, or we can filter the main points and the sub points. They have to organize again main points, and they have to write the summary. So in a summary writing, it is a study skill, and we follow all stages of Bloom's taxonomy in summary writing.
Okay. How do you satisfy creating in summarizing? What do you create when you summarize?
Yeah. So because you are not copying the same sentences or same words, that time you have to use your own language.
Right.
Yes. To carry the same message.
And how about evaluating? When you read a paragraph, you have to evaluate what is right and what is wrong. Right?
Sir, I can give one example.
Yes, Tushari.
Yes.
Yes, there is a poem called Wet
Yeah.
in the 8th
In
standard
eighth
textbook.
standard, right?
Yes. So there is a question based on that poem. We call it it is related to what we call HOTS, or higher order thinking skills. The
Right.
question goes like this: think deeply.
Hmm.
Is the poet really discouraging the youth from becoming vets? Because in the poem, the poet has given a number of problems while dealing with pet animals, so treating them, operating them, and so on. So it's a little bit humorous poem. But then by focusing on the difficulties faced by the vets in the poem, on the
Okay.
basis of that, the students are asked to think.
Okay.
Otherwise, nobody will choose that profession in the future.
Okay. Thank you so much. Back to you, Nisha.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah. Our next question
Sir,
is,
can I add?
Yeah, please,
yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
please, Manisha.
Sir, while developing workbook, these the activities are not for remembering mechanically. Most of the activities are not for remembering mechanically, but understanding the circumstances. And as far as summarizing is concerned, in summarizing, we are checking their comprehension also.
Understanding. Okay.
Understanding,
Okay.
comprehension, and how they put their ideas together. That is also one of the skills.
Right. So
Okay.
what you are trying to say
Right.
is that remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating are very important skills, and they are higher order skills. Remembering is a low order skill. Creating is the highest order skill. And you have activities in the workbook which satisfy all these levels, right?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's very good. Thank you so much for your contribution. Back to you, Nisha.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Our next question is, do the textbooks include pre, while, and post listening, speaking, reading, and writing activities? Can you explain such activities briefly?
Maybe you can address this question to Dr. Karwande or Bosle Sahib. Hello,
Karwande, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes.
Of course, I would like to give one example from our textbook of Standard 5th. There is a lesson, Little Red Hen, and it's for mainly for reading. But before reading, children are introduced the vocabulary. It's the pre-reading activity where children are taught different action words like threshing, cutting, sewing. So this is the pre-reading activity for the children, and then they are asked to read. And based on their reading, later on the post-reading activities their reading comprehension is checked. So this is how there are pre, while, and post activities, which test your listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills.
Dr. Karwande, you briefly talked about pre-writing or pre-reading activities and post-writing, post-speaking, post-listening activities. How about the middle part, that is while reading, while listening activities? Do you have those activities as well?
Yes, of course, sir. While reading activities also are given there. While reading also, for example, I remember a passage where while reading, children are, before the children read the whole part of the story, so at the end of the first part, they are asked to predict what will happen next.
Okay, that's very good. That's very good. Fantastic. Wonderful. Back to you, Nisha.
Sir, may I
Thank you,
add
sir.
some?
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Because in the all textbooks from standard 6 to standard 12, you will find beginning of the text, there is a warming up activity. Sometimes chit chat activities are there. That is the pre. Then margin scaffolding is given. Every page you will find margin space, and margin space is used for gloss the words. Again, it's a thing, thought-provoking questions. Again, there are some questions that you call simple factual questions or complex factual questions that can check their understanding, whether they have understood or not. That is a while reading part. And after the lesson, we have a session, English workshop or brainstorming session also. So every book you will find these sections of the pre, while, and post. Thank you, sir.
Very good. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We thank all the members of the workbook committee and the textbook committee for having produced wonderful teaching materials. Of
Thank you,
course,
sir.
we
Thank
remember that no textbook is perfect. There is always a room for revision and improvement.
Sure, sir.
Right? Thank you so much.
Sure.
Back to you.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir. Next question is, will you give us textual examples of selection and grading in terms of content, complexity, and language difficulty?
Maybe Bose Saab, you can throw light on this. Bose Saab?
So
I think
looks like
Bosle sir is not there, I
not-
think.
yes.
Oh, we lost
Not
contact with
audible.
Not audible, but
Yeah,
sir,
Bose,
sir.
you throw more.
I'm here, but just I can't exactly elaborate all these things properly. So just I kept mum, and I just am getting some here only. Please.
No, that is your humility. That is your humbleness that you can't contribute. You can.
No, sir, no, sir.
You are a very experienced person.
Yeah.
Your whole your life in the field of education. Anyway, maybe we can
Okay.
ask Tusharika to throw light on.
Yes, sir. All the textbooks are wonderfully graded from beginning to end. Even, there's a continuation from standard 1 to 2, then the next one. So there's that type of grading. Grading in terms of the concepts that are introduced. For example, they are taught, naming words are taught first, and
Okay.
describing words are taught later on. Naming words and action words are introduced at the same time in classes 1 and 2. And the focus is on development of vocabulary through pictures. There are plenty of pictures in class 1 and 2 textbooks. And then gradually, using that vocabulary which is developed, further they take up the lessons and poems that way. So there's grading throughout, using based on the same maxims which Manisha mentioned, that is simple to complex, easy to difficult, concrete to abstract, and so on.
Known to unknown and so on.
Known to unknown, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So back to you, Nisha.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Do these textbooks indicate or suggest teaching techniques that are appropriate to different activities? Can we have an example?
In the Marathi medium textbooks, the instructions are given to the teachers in a square beneath the lesson in Marathi. So there are plenty of suggestions, for the teachers.
No, for example, Sarika, let's try to understand the intent of the question, right? Are you listening, Tusharika?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's try to understand the intent of the question. What Nisha asked was something very important, and the intent of the question is this. Now, suppose you want to teach or test evaluating skill or creativity skill or creating skill in a particular task or activity. So do you think certain tasks and activities lend themselves very well to the testing or teaching or presenting or practicing of a particular orders of skill? Like, for example, brainstorming is appropriate for this. Information gap activities are appropriate for that particular task or activities.
It is not explicitly mentioned anywhere.
No? So it's left to the teacher? Is it left to the teacher? Or do you have
brainstorming,
Patil,
those
sir?
activities are there.
Yes, Dr. Karan.
May I add?
Yes,
I
sir.
remember when English was introduced from standard first in 2000. The very first textbook that was produced, so it contained footnotes for teachers how to handle with this particular activity. Later on, we could see that there was a separate page for teachers at the beginning itself, which guided teachers about how to handle each genre. So, and even now also we see that even the revised textbooks, in these textbooks, there are certain guidelines provided to the teachers. So these help the teachers to deal with the content very effectively.
Okay, thank you so much. Nisha, next question, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah, our next question. Do any workbooks accompany the textbooks, and how many? Manisha ma'am, would you like to answer?
Yes, ma'am.
The question is, could you answer this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, please.
There are total 6 workbooks. Okay. For secondary level. Okay. I'm talking about second level. Actually, there are workbook accompanying from primary level, secondary level to higher secondary level. But I contributed in the creation of workbooks at secondary level. In our states, there are 2 English textbooks for 2 types of schools. One textbook is for Marathi medium schools and another textbook is for English medium schools. The textbook for English medium school is slightly difficult, and we had a team of experts, and I was one member. Nagar Goje sir also one of the members. We have classes 8, 9, 10th in Marathi medium schools, and we have classes 8, 9, 10th in English medium schools. For English medium schools, we have a separate textbook. For Marathi medium school, we have another textbook. So we wrote some workbooks. In fact, we wrote 6 workbooks for classes 8, 9, and 10 for both medium, Marathi medium as well as English medium. We wrote these workbooks for Marathi medium students and also for English medium students. I have worked with some other experts. We worked together. We developed activities for these workbooks and we exchanged these activities among ourselves.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Very good.
Okay.
But you know, Manisha.
Yes, sir.
You told us about the number of workbooks that you were instrumental in creating or producing, right? You
Yes,
said
sir.
that you were a member of the team and that team was responsible for creating workbooks or writing workbooks, and you said
Yes,
you were a member and you produced 6 workbooks, 3 for
Yes, sir.
Marathi medium schools and 3 for English medium schools.
Yes, sir. For standard 8, 9, 10.
But as far as the purposes, as far as the benefits or advantages of workbooks are concerned, do you think the English medium school workbooks and the Marathi medium school workbooks, do they serve the same purposes? Do they have the same objective? Do they have the same advantages or benefits? What are the purposes?
Yes, sir. Each and every textbook as well as workbook has a certain purpose, objectives. There are few objectives of workbook. For example, we want to boost the morale of the learner,
Very
to build
good.
the confidence of the learner, to make the learner self-reliant, to make the learner self-dependent.
Very good.
Then we want to give the learners more practice. We want to give the learners opportunity to practice more English. So we provided numerous activities. Okay. And these activities will enable the learner to learn the English language and use it in different situations, day-to-day life situations. The text included in the textbook would make the learner to think critically, and the question in the textbook would help the learner to analyze, to evaluate the learner. It would help the teachers to evaluate the learners' analytical ability.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. But you know, do you think the workbooks are a duplication or repetition of the textbook, or do you think the workbooks are an extension of the textbook?
Workbook are the extension of the textbook because they are supplement to the activities given in the textbook. So activities given in the textbook and activities given in the workbook both goes hand in hand. Both
And
go
they're-
hand in hand. Okay.
And they are different.
Yes, sir.
They are not repetitions.
They are not repetitions.
Okay, thank you very much. Back to you, Nisha.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is, were the teaching learning materials tried out before publishing them, and how?
Nagar Goje sir? Mr. Nagargoje?
Yes, sir. Yes.
We
Yes, ma'am.
request you to try.
Yes,
we
sir.
Yes,
request
some
you to
activities we
answer.
try. Thank you, sir. Some activities we try out before publishing it, because it is very confidential work to create any material in government institution. That may be SSC board, or that may be Bal Bharati, that may be SCRT. Because when we work together at the same time, some people are only that finding the people who are working for the government bodies. So that time we select some people and we give them some activities for tryout.
Right.
All activities not tried out, but few activities are tried out which are not implemented before.
Right.
If some activities are already implemented and we know the result of activities, there is no need of tryout of those activity. But when some activities, for example, we have one activity 50 words, and the purpose of that, teacher read out all the 50 words in the class, students listen carefully, and they try to remember maximum words.
Right.
At that time, we have tried out this activity in some schools, and fortunately, sir, we got the best result, because some students remember 35 to 40 words out of 50. And when we talk with the children, how did you remember 40 words or 35 words? So they have given us some techniques how to remember the words. There is a sequence or coin. So some activities we have tried out, sir.
Very good. Yeah, understandably, obviously, understandably, we can't try out every activity. It's impossible, humanly impossible. But you did try to practice and get feedback from the people involved, from teachers, from learners, and maybe from administrators. That was quite commendable, and we congratulate your team for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Back to you, Nisha.
I would like to just add another question to the same discussion which sir just commented about material and the feedback which they had said. Now, these activities, when they had tested, were they vetted by some of the experts from EFL like EFL University or British Council, something like that?
Yeah, were those activities approved or vetted or evaluated?
Evaluated?
Yes, and approved.
May I?
Yeah,
yes,
please.
sir. Yes, Ujjwal, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I got a chance to develop some material for the teachers. So when we developed the material for the teachers for teacher activity groups, so it was sent to British Council for testing, for evaluating, and after a green signal from them, we introduced it. So this is one of my experience. And the other, when we produce some training modules for the teachers, so we sent it to the Leadership for Equity, which is an NGO for external evaluation of it. And after suggestions from them, we vetted the material produced by the SIEM.
But why didn't you approach English and Foreign Languages University? English and Foreign Languages University is a premier institute in the country, and it's the only institution in India that takes care of the teaching and learning of English and so many other foreign languages.
Sure, sir.
So
sure. We should have been.
Why weren't we contacted? I mean, we were there.
I think it was our limitation. It was our limitation that we couldn't approach you.
Maybe,
yeah, but we should have. Sure.
Maybe next time, please remember us.
Sure, sir. Sure.
And we are your people. We are your institution. So please don't ignore us.
Never, sir. Never. Thank you.
We would be happy, Mr. Nagargoje. We'd be happy.
Zadan, sir.
Yes, sir.
Instead of that, evaluate and approve that any syllabus or material. The government of Maharashtra appointed a chairperson from the IFL University. That's what Jadan Patil, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you, gentlemen. But I really need to get back to the discussion. The point that you all have made is really interesting, and we can definitely have a wonderful session with Patil, sir, and he can guide us about how we can go ahead in this. But I would like to have one more question over here, because of the time, and we have questions from the audience also, because they also want to know from you. So here's our last question maybe. So do you remember any issue or a point in which there was a disagreement or dispute, or how the issue was resolved? Just talk about the issue and the way it was solved. If we could just avoid the names of people, but we would just like to know about how the issue, what was the nature of the issue and how it was dealt. So we could just avoid all the controversies by naming people
Yes.
and all.
May I?
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It
sir,
happens
please.
everywhere, because when you work together in a committee, in a group, that time the people, they have their own opinions, and some people are very adamant. They are not agree. Yes, you know, Jadan Patil knows very well because we work under his guidance. Sir, we had a discussion in Bal Bharati because in
Yeah.
previous textbooks there was a unit map and there was a topic title. So topic name for each unit, the sports and adventure, science and technology. So in the next series, we had a discussion, should we put all these things same, or we have to change it? Some people are very that aggressive to put the topic names the same, but some people are not ready to that. And the reason was that if we have given us some topic, so we have restricted to find the material. And unfortunately, we couldn't get that rich literature and material from under that title.
Okay.
So we had a hot discussion, but after all people agreed, and we had decided that we should not give the topic unit name. Instead of giving unit name, we have given only unit number.
Okay.
And smoothly we have done it because we know how to deal with the people democratically.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nisha?
I would like to share my experience, if you
Yes,
permit,
sir.
if the time permits, of course.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure,
brief-
sir, please.
I remember an incident. We produced a teachers training module for spoken English. And before publishing it and before scaling up, we had a mini pilot study also. In the pilot, we couldn't see any glitch or any drawback in it. But when it was scaled up and the module was implemented for the whole state, some of the teachers approached me and they said that a particular module for error correction was too heavy for them. So this was a kind of learning for me, and for after producing every module, then we started doing a prototype of it and then mini piloting it. For example, when we developed the advanced spoken English module, so it was tried out in different pockets of the state, covering all the regions.
Okay, we would like to request Bhosle Sahib and Tusharika to say something, because we haven't heard Bhosle Sahib for some time.
Yes, sir.
So whatever you want to say, whatever you want to share, please go ahead.
Actually, I have not been involved in developing the different material. So just I was involved in preparing some curriculum and syllabus. But sometimes actually some issues arises when we are developing some curriculum on all these things, because there is some subject scheme is there.
Right.
And in that subject scheme, some people are they think that it should not be like that, but there is discussion that it should be like that. So it does happen sometimes, but actually being on the side of government, we have to consider all these things and take some midway to solve all these problems. Just I can't exactly elaborate.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Tusharika, would you like to add?
Yes, sir. I would like to share one experience.
Yes, ma'am.
While writing one textbook for the D.Ed course, I did not agree with the logical arrangement of the units that were given to me. So I just tried to change the order, but I was not permitted to do that. So I just, complied with their wishes and we went ahead.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think that was a wonderful discussion with a lot of interesting inputs. And am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think time is definitely something which is not allowing me to ask you more questions, but I would like the audience also to give a chance and get to know your views. But before that, I would just like to quickly give the takeaways from today's discussion. Some of the important points, I'll just give a bullet point about what we heard from the discussion, and these points are really very interesting and important. So in today's discussion, we heard about the age appropriateness of the material that is graded and culturally appropriate, the most important thing. Then activities which are based on the constructivist approach, testing and vetting of the material, project-based learning, experiential learning, margin scaffolding, and some of the issues, how they were resolved. So these were some of the points that we got to know, and there are yet many more, but I think I still want to go ahead with the other questions, and I'll stop over here. Thank you for a nice, insightful discussion. I would like to now hand over to Rahul sir for the next plan of the session. Rahul sir?
Nisha ma'am, I think we can entertain some questions.
I have the question answers, so I just wanted to know about that. Can we go ahead with the questions?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead with the questions.
Yeah. I can see some of, I'll just read out the questions. Here is a question from the chat box. Do textbooks or workbook writers play any role in deciding the cost of the book? We have experienced that many publications prescribed by private schools are unreasonably expensive. It becomes difficult for middle-class parents to purchase the books. What is your view about these? Can anybody answer this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
May I?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. There is no any role of the textbook writers or the workbook writers to decide the cost of any book, because it's totally government autonomous body, Bal Bharati. And the purpose of setting up Bal Bharati, when Madhukara Chaudhary was an education minister, and it was a strong recommendation of Kothari Commission. So we had one institution, that institution can work to create a best books and give an affordable prices. So it is the lowest price in comparison to all publications, because it is created for the students of the children of Maharashtra.
Okay.
There is no comparison between the private. And also private publications are always, their prices are very high.
Okay. Thank you. That addresses the question. I have a second question from Dr. Jyoti Pai ma'am. And her question is, how do we contribute our expertise in writing textbooks and others?
If anybody
would like to contribute?
If there is no anyone, so I will.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sir. Yes, I'll just repeat the question. How do we contribute our expertise in writing textbooks and others?
For adults?
Yeah, for contribution of writing textbooks or the workbooks or other material.
Okay, this is something I think you can better explain.
Yeah.
Sridharji.
Yes, because we have always the open platform to work for Bal Bharati or SSC board. In the last month, we had a link, public link, a floating link for all experts from Maharashtra and out of Maharashtra who wants to work for Bal Bharati with different level. primary, pre-primary, upper primary, secondary, and higher secondary, because we prepare book standard from first, and now in focus of NEP 2020, we have started from pre-primary education also. So if you want to contribute in to framing syllabus or anything, so we have public announcements published in newspapers and floating the link. You can apply and you can become a member of a committee. It is open for all.
Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Right, Nagargoji?
Yes, sir.
I mean, whoever wants to do something as far as materials development is concerned can send their suggestions. They can go through the textbooks, find the problems that are there in the textbooks, and offer suggestions for improvement of the textbook. You can always,
sure. Always welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Always welcome. Yes.
Yeah. Nisha.
Thank you. Next question is, can we use mother tongue in teaching English? If so, what extent?
I think Ujjwal sir can explain it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the use of mother tongue is obligatory, especially for the beginners. Definitely, to establish a rapport with the learners, the teacher has to use the mother tongue of the learner. But at the same time, we should be very judicious while selecting the language. For example, for the explanation of the matter to be learned, it shouldn't be translated. It's okay. You can use the mother tongue while establishing rapport with the children. Otherwise, if you immediately start speaking English to the beginners, the second day onwards, they won't come to your schools. So obviously, you have to use the mother tongue of the learners. And nowadays, we have the multilingual approach, isn't it? So according to the multilingual approach, the teacher has to consider the variety of languages spoken in the classes. And considering, in order to relate with the children very closely, the teacher has to use the mother tongue of the children. Even we see that even in the NEP, the mother tongue has gained very much importance. Yeah. And as such, we cannot totally ignore the use of the mother tongue. Later on, when the children acquire a reasonable competency in the language skills, then we can move. Then we can use the immersion technique and the direct method. Okay. But of course, for the beginners, you need to use the mother tongue of the children.
Thank you. Manisha wants to say something, I think.
Yes, sir.
She seems to
yes,
be
sir,
very.
may I?
She seems to be eager to contribute. Please do that.
Thank you, sir. Actually, there are some methods for teaching English language at primary level, secondary level, and higher secondary level. Grammar translation method is one of them. And in grammar translation method, teaching to learners' mother tongue is allowed. So we can use English to learners' mother tongue approach. We can translate English into learners' mother tongue. So it is up to the teacher. He has that freedom. He can choose grammar translation, or he can choose direct method, which is English to English. Direct method is English to English, and grammar translation method is English to learner's mother tongue. So it is up to the teacher, and it is also depend on the learners, what kind of learners he is going to teach.
Of course, so may I add,
what you are trying to say, Manisha, is that mother tongue is not a hurdle. Mother tongue is not a hindrance.
Yes,
mother
sir.
Is a support, is a help.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For mother tongue needs to be used wisely and judiciously.
Yes, sir.
Because certain concepts which cannot be explained in English. These concepts are culture specific, culture bound.
Yes, sir.
And therefore they can be translated. They need to be translated into the mother tongue. And the very word, the very spelling of the word mother includes the word other.
Yes.
The word mother includes the word other. So mother tongue and other tongue go together.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Tarvande, would you like to say something?
Yes, sir. Actually, we see that it's our experience that a single method is not comprehensive for teaching English. And that's why we have adopted the eclectic approach. It's the blending of the best part of all the methods. As Manisha ji has explained that previously we used to use the grammar translation method. So we could see, we experienced that the understanding develops much, but the productive skills are not developed because students get to translate everything, and there is hindrance of thinking. You are thinking in one language and translating into another, so it creates hindrance. So there is no one-to-one correspondence between your thoughts and your expression. So this hinders the speed of speech. So production skills are not much developed while you are using the the translation method. Whereas in the direct method, the students who are who are better and can adjust with the language can progress very fast, but they tend to fall back if they don't understand, because the mother tongue equivalents are not used. So that's why I think that it has to be a blending of all the methods to really cater the needs of all kinds of learners, the starters, the movers and flyers in your class.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, can I add? Can I add?
Tusharika, you have something else to say? Additional thing?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
In brief, I will tell you. As a teacher, I believe that it is very important that students should understand what we teach. Otherwise, the lesson is a failure. So sometimes when you go to the classroom and if you find that the faces are blank and the students cannot understand anything, you can always use the mother tongue.
Okay. Now, Tusharika, I have a question for you.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I'm playing a double role since I'm here as a member of the chapter and I'm here as a participant, as an attendee. So we haven't talked about assessment or evaluation. Now, there are two types of assessment, formative and summative. Yes. Which type of assessment do you follow in the at the secondary, higher secondary level? Is it just formative or just summative, or is it a blend of the two?
No, they are entirely different things. So from the first standard to the 10th standard, we have to use both types of assessment.
Right.
Some questions are framed for the purpose of formative assessment. Some questions are framed for the purpose of summative assessment. So it is necessary at all levels.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Nisha? More questions from the audience?
Can I have more questions? Yeah, there are two more questions. I think I can take those questions. One of the questions is addressed to Dr. Nagargoje sir. And the question is, it's from Wasim Tamboli sir.
Wasim, okay.
And the question is about, I have heard about Tejas project, but could not get to know more about the same. Could you please share its benefit or implications for the English learners as well as the teachers in the schools of Maharashtra?
Yes, Tejas project was run by Government of Maharashtra with the help of British Council and the Tata Trust. It is funded by Tata Trust, academic support was British Council, and run by Government of Maharashtra. And Ujjwal sir was a state coordinator of that project. Ujjwal sir, can you focus on the Tejas project?
Sure.
And you know, one just half a minute, Dr. Karvande. So Dr. Karvande was heading that particular project, but he forgot us. He forgot that there was an institution called English and Foreign Language. We would have helped you.
Jaden sir, you are absolutely right.
This is like a family member neglecting and ignoring another family member. We are a family. We are Indians, and
yes,
luckily you sought help from the Tatas, but you went to the British Council. We are no less than a British Council.
Sir, I would like to make this point. I'd like to make this point very clear to you.
We are equally competent.
Excuse me.
Please go ahead.
So we can definitely listen to this discussion and debate, but we would like to know the views from sir.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. But before I answer the question, I would like to make it very clear that I had no role at all because the outline and the everything, the abouts of this project were decided before I joined the SIEM. Now I come to the question. So Tejas is the short form of technology-enabled education through joint action and strategic initiative. So it's a kind of new model of the continuing professional development of teachers. We see that in the traditional training model, there was a different kind of connectivity between the teachers and the trainees. So they used to attend the training and then go back to their schools, and probably there was no connection again with the trainers. But now this is a different model where the teachers, 25 teachers from a cluster, gather together for 3 hours in every month, and there is a TAC coordinator. The teacher activity groups are there. This is called as teacher activity group, and there is no trainer, but a facilitator is there. And this facilitator, with the help of the resource book produced by under this project by the British Council, they practice the language, and at the same time they learn the pedagogical principles. So this is how the project runs. And the teachers have reported benefits of this project for the development of their own language, as well as for learning teaching principles. So if you are not a part, I request you to approach the cluster head of your cluster, and he will help you to get induced into the tags. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll take one last question and maybe we can proceed to our program. This question is by Pankaj Bobde, sir. What is common threads used while designing the syllabus of 5th to 12th standard?
May I?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, before that, we know the textbook is prepared by the two institutions. A textbook from standard 1 to standard 8 is prepared by Bal Bharati, and standard 9 to 12 is prepared by SSC board. But now all books are prepared by Bal Bharati under the different members or committee. The common thread is that we have decided 6 the competent that you call area of language development: listening, speaking, reading, writing, the traditional 4 skills, and apart from them, study skill and language study. Language study, functional grammar, and study skill is a part of that using language for different purposes. So that is a common thread. Also, we have a continuation of the language study section from standard 6 to standard 9 and 10, and also it is continued up to 12th standard.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we are done with the questions, and thank you everyone for the answers over here. Now I would hand over to Patil sir for his brief comments about the session.
Okay, thank you very much, Nisha. I suppose it was a wonderful session, and I heard quite a few of these things. When I joined this particular session, I was a poor person, but now I can say that I'm a rich man because I've got a lot of ideas from these experts, and all experts happen to be my friends. You know, so it's a double kind of relationship. I mean, we are colleagues and we are also friends. I would go to the extent of saying that we are family. We are a family because we have common interests and we pursue all these common interests in a joint manner, like a joint venture. Now, I'd like to, basically, I am a storyteller and I love telling stories. I love telling or narrating or, sharing anecdotes and jokes and so on and so forth. Now, once upon a time, there was a school. Now, I will narrate the anecdotes. So you have to draw the inferences. Where would this particular anecdote fit? Would it fit here? Would it fit there? So that is your problem. I'm going to share some anecdotes, some stories, and you have to draw your conclusions. You have to learn lessons from these anecdotes as materials developers, materials producers. So once there was a school. Are you with me? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
there was a school, And that school decided to celebrate Children's Day. It was a Children's Day, and the school decided to celebrate Children's Day. And all those children were 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old boys and girls. And this school invited a politician to talk to the children. And this politician came to the school and started talking to the children, to the boys and the girls, 4-year, 5-year-old boys and girls. And this is how he began his talk. Well, boys and girls, continual and relentless pursuit of spiritual values alone can lead us to the salvation of the soul. Look at this man. Look at what he's saying. He is talking to little boys and girls. And these little boys and girls are 4-year-old, 5-year-old boys and girls. And he's talking about spiritual values. He's talking about continual and relentless pursuit. He's talking about the soul and the salvation of the soul. Do you think these boys and girls could understand what the man was talking about? What do you think? Can you answer my question, please, quickly?
No, sir.
They couldn't understand what this man was talking about because he was talking philosophical. He was waxing philosophical. How can you expect a small boy or a small girl, a little kid, to understand? How can we expect the boy or the girl to understand abstract concepts like continual pursuit and spiritual values and soul and salvation of the soul or freedom of the soul from the body? Children can't understand because they are, here we talk about age appropriateness. So this particular politician who came to talk to the children at this particular school did not keep in mind the level of the learner, the level of the listener, right? That's one thing. Once there was a speaker and he was standing on a platform and he started talking. And initially there was a large gathering sitting in front of the speaker. But suddenly it started raining torrentially. It began to rain cats and dogs. So there was rainwater everywhere. And almost every listener, almost every member of the audience left the venue and went home. But the man who was speaking continued talking. And the organizers came to the man. He was alone on the platform. All the other people had left. The audience had left. And the organizers came to the speaker and said, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker. There is no one to listen to you." And this speaker said, "I don't care. In my opinion, it is not important whether people are listening to me or not listening to me. In my opinion, what is important is what I'm going to say." Do you think there are teachers? Do you think there are experts like this man who are in charge of producing materials? Like, for example, I love Shakespeare, and therefore I would like to have Shakespeare in class 5 textbooks. How can you expect a class 5 boy or a girl to understand Othello or Macbeth or Hamlet or King Lear? You can't, because they are not conceptually developed. They are not conceptually, experientially developed. So all these anecdotes and all these experiences have a lot of things to teach us. Then a textbook is a teaching learning map. What is the role of a textbook? Why do we need a textbook? We need a textbook because the textbook is a teaching and learning map. It sets certain goals and outlines a roadmap. There are certain goals, certain aims, certain objectives in the textbook. So a textbook is essential. It gives us a direction. It's like a compass, on a ship, like Titanic. There is a compass. People pronounce this as compass. It is not compass. It is compass. So a ship carries a compass. And what's the role? What's the function of the compass? The role of the compass is to indicate the direction, whether it's going in the south, going towards the north, going in the east. So a textbook is like a compass. It has certain goals and aims and objectives, and it gives us an outline of the roadmap. A textbook is and should be a product of selection of content and language and grading of content and language and culture and so on and so forth, right? A textbook, in my opinion, if you ask me to describe the qualities of a textbook, qualities of a good textbook, I would say A good textbook arouses the curiosity of the learner, ignites the creativity of the learner, and encourages divergent thinking. You know, we no longer believe in one single interpretation, one single answer. Let every learner come up with a different or independent or autonomous interpretation of a poem or a story or a play or anything for that matter. So a good textbook, good teaching materials, a good textbook arouses curiosity, ignites creativity, encourages divergent thinking, and discourages convergent thinking. It should avoid regimentation because our boys and girls in the classroom are not machines. They are not machine boys. They are not machine girls. They are not people having machine minds and machine hearts. They are human beings. And therefore, the primary objective, primary goal of a textbook is to develop critical thinking and creativity and evaluating abilities and analyzing acumen and so on and so forth. So a textbook should incorporate tasks that test different skills such as remembering, understanding. We already discussed this. No textbook, we must remember this. And I have also produced quite a few textbooks for the state board, secondary board, higher secondary board, and for different universities in India and abroad. And I can say that no textbook is perfect. There is always room for revision. There is always scope for improvement. No textbook is complete. No workbook is exhaustive. There's always a room for addition and so on and so forth. Now, finally, I'd like to give you 4 options, and you please give me the answer. The textbook is excellent and the teacher is excellent. What sort of outcome do you expect? Mr. Nagargoje? You have an excellent textbook, and this excellent textbook is in the hands of an excellent teacher. So what sort of outcome do you expect?
Expect the best learning.
The best learning, very good.
Yeah.
The teacher is excellent, the materials are excellent, and therefore, under usual or normal circumstances, you expect wonderful output, wonderful results, right?
Yeah.
Am I right, Raghujit sir?
Yes, sir, absolutely right.
That's number 1, excellent textbook, excellent teacher, excellent outcomes. Then the second scenario is the textbook is excellent, but the teacher is so-so. The teacher is ordinary. The teacher is not very competent. What sort of outcome do you expect, Sharika, under normal circumstances? The textbook is excellent, but the teacher is poor. Dr. Karwande?
I think ma'am is on mute.
Yes, it depends upon the learner. Maybe that he doesn't require the guidance from the teacher. He can learn by himself from the textbook.
No, what I'm saying is under normal circumstances.
Then the outcome would be an average learner.
Average, because even though the textbook is excellent, the teacher is a very poor person, is an incompetent person, and he doesn't have mastery over the language. His pronunciation is faulty, his grammar is defective, and he doesn't show any specialization. He doesn't show any expertise in language teaching methodology, language teaching principles, and so on and so forth. So one excellent textbook, excellent teacher, excellent results. Normally, I'm not talking about exceptional cases, right? Then you have excellent textbook given in the hands of a poor teacher, so average outcome. Then the third scenario is the textbook is of very poor quality, and the teacher is of poor quality. Both are poor. The textbook is poor in terms of content, in terms of exercises, in terms of activities and tasks, in terms of attractiveness of the textbook. So the textbook is poor, the teacher is poor. You expect very, very poor results under normal circumstances again. So, and the last one is the textbook is poor, but the teacher is excellent. You know, give me, for example, a very shabby textbook. Give me a very poor quality textbook, and I can guarantee, sorry for boasting, you will not, please forgive me for boasting or talking about my own self. But give me a poor quality textbook, and I can work wonders in my classroom because I know how to adapt and adopt and supplement and complement and how to change the activities to suit the level of the learners that I am face to face with. So there are 4 types. Now, I would like to end this little talk. Sorry, I'm exceeding my time limit, but since my team members and my chapter members always want me to offer special comments because they think I'm a very special person. I'm not. I'm an ordinary human being. The only difference between them and me is that I have more experience and I have seen more parts of the world than they have. So I'm grateful to them for this humility. So I'm sure you have heard the name G.B. Shaw, George Bernard Shaw.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So G.B. Shaw was an Irish playwright or dramatist. One day a lady came to him. She was a beautiful lady, but she was very unintelligent. She was not a clever lady. She was a very, very dull person, but she was very beautiful, extremely beautiful. So this extremely beautiful but unintelligent lady came to G.B. Shaw and she said, Mr. Shaw, I would like to marry you because when you and I are together, together as husband and wife, I'm sure the child we are going to, or the child we will give birth to, will have your intelligence and my beauty. The lady said, because she was beautiful and he was intelligent, he was a genius. So she said, if you and I get married, then our child will be as intelligent like you, as intelligent as you are, and as beautiful as I am. And G.B. Shaw said, he was a very ready-witted person. He said, but suppose the reverse happens, that the child gets your intelligence and my ugliness. So the child will be ugly and also unintelligent. So what I'm trying to say is that the textbook is one member of the couple, one person in the couple, and the teacher is the other person. You decide whether the teacher is a husband or wife, whether the textbook is husband or wife. But I compare the teacher and the textbook to a couple. So if you want to have best results, you produce the best textbook and you give it in the hands of the best teachers. And I just say in one sentence that I've been teaching English language and literature and linguistics for a long, long time. And I've taught in India and in several other countries. And I've drawn certain conclusions. And my conclusions are based on my experiences, my observations of my teachers, my trainees, and my students, especially teachers of English in our country. So what is my conclusion? And this is my favorite conclusion, and I worded it like this so that you can remember this conclusion. The teacher is a tormentor. The teacher is a torturer. Look at teachers teaching in classes. If you go and attend those classes, language teaching classes, you will be horrified. You will be stunned. You will be shocked because what the teacher does in the classroom is something which is horrible. Therefore, my conclusion is that the teacher is a tormentor. The teacher is a torturer. The teacher tortures and torments the taught. Who are the taught? The boys and the girls. The taught means the student. The teacher is a tormentor and the taught, the students are the tortured, the tormented. And the teacher has 2 tools of torture in their hand. In their hand means in his hands or in her hands. The teacher has 2 tools of torture in their hands. And can you give me the answer of the 2 tools of torture that the teacher uses in the classroom? The teacher is a tormentor. Actually, the teacher is supposed to be a mentor. Mentor, guide, friend, philosopher. The teacher is supposed to be a mentor, but the teacher is not a mentor. The teacher is a tormentor. The teacher is a torturer, and the student is the tortured and tormented, harassed. The teacher harasses the learner, insults the learner, humiliates the learner, and kills the curiosity and the creativity that the learner brings to the classroom. right? That is my general experience. That is my general observation. And what are the two tools of torture that the tormentor has in their hands? Text, test. The text and the test, right? We use the test to torture. Actually, our aim should be to expose how much the learner knows. But unfortunately, our aim is to expose the ignorance of the learner, not the knowledge of the learner. This is the tragedy. And look at the shopping malls and the shopping complexes like Big Bazaar and D-Mart and all those big shopping malls. Education is the only sector where the likes and dislikes and expectations and aspirations of the consumer are not taken into account. Who are our customers? Our learners, are our consumers, are our clients. They are our customers. But do we ever take their likes and dislikes, expectations and aspirations into account, into consideration while we write textbooks? No, we don't. Can you, Mr. Nagargoje or Mr. Bhosle or Tusharika or Manisha or Dr. Karwande, can you tell me, place your hand on your heart and tell me, yes, we always take into account the aspirations, the expectations, the likes and the dislikes of the learners. Do we? No. Honestly speaking, we don't take into account what they like, what they don't like. We take into account what we like as teachers, what we like as textbook writers. And that is the tragedy, and that needs to be changed. Unless we change that, things will not change. So let's do whatever we can do in our humble way. Let's take the squirrel share, though not the lion's share. Thank you very much. Back to you, Nisha.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those wonderful inputs. Now I hand over to Neha ma'am for a vote of thanks. Neha ma'am, over to you.
On behalf of the office bearers of LTI Pune chapter, it's my immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks. Let me at the outset thank today's guest speakers for sharing their knowledge, expertise, experience, and enlightening our audience. Last but not the least, we thank Dr. Z.N. Patil sir, President LTI Pune chapter, all the office bearers, all the members of LTI Pune chapter, as well as other participants and students for making it convenient to attend today's webinar. We request now all of you to join us for a group photo. May I now kindly request Rahul sir to please take a group photo.
We need to smile, though we don't smile in the classroom, we need to smile at least here.
Thank you. Thank you all of you once again. Yeah.
And yeah, Nisha, just give me a minute.
Yes,
Bhosle sir.
Yes, sir.
And Tusharika. Hello.
Hello.
Tusharika. She's not there.
Unmute. Please unmute yourself.
I think ma'am is
hello, hello.
Yeah. So what I just want to say a big thank you to Bhosle Sahib and Tusharika and Manisha and Mr. Nagargoje and Dr. Ravande for their wonderful contribution to today's discussion. I think this discussion will remain with us for years to come. And it was a learning experience for me as well. We are all the time learning from one another. So thank you for making us rich. Thank you for giving us, sharing your experiences with us and giving us your grains of wisdom, distilled wisdom. It's not just wisdom, it's distilled wisdom. Vastragar kelela chaturya. Dhanyawad. So
thank you. Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm honored. I'm honored, sir, to be here as a panelist. Thank you.
We are extremely. It's a privilege for us. Thank you. Back to you, Nisha.
I conclude this session to be completed. So I would like to end the meeting now.
Yeah, Nisha, sorry for,
No, thank you everyone. And I would like to conclude this meeting. Thank you for a wonderful time, and now I end this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, there is an announcement, Rahul. Where is Rahul?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rahul, could you please make an announcement about the next panel discussion that we're going to have on 13 August?
Yes. So everyone, we are going to have our second session of this interview on 13th of August. That is again a Saturday at the same time, 5 to 6:30. And we will have another team of experts with us.
It will not be an interview. It will be a panel discussion.
Panel discussion, yes.
Dr. Pradhan is going to chair the panel discussion, and Dr. V.T. Patil will be accompanying him, and Mahajan, what's his name? Sahibram Mahajan will be there from, what's the place, name place? What's the name of the place?
Thane.
Badlapur. Mahajan.
Badlapur, yeah.
Yes, Sahibram Mahajan from Badlapur, and Akhil Bhosle from Mumbai, and Umesh Pradhan from Pune, and V.T. Patil from Pune will be there. Four panelists will be there, and Dr. Pradhan will chair the panel discussion, and the theme of that particular panel discussion, which is going to happen on 13th August 2022, will be processes and principles of ELT materials development. So please do attend that particular session. Yes, and as I noted in my message, they also serve who only stand and wait, as Milton says in his poem on his blindness, that you don't have to actively participate as a speaker. You can raise questions. So they also serve who only stand and wait. So please bring your questions and wait for an opportunity to shoot your question to the panelists. So please do attend next time. That is on 13th at 5 o'clock. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gagan sir, and all.